Now, the reason that I wanted to give her to you is because from what I've heard about her, she is from what I heard about her before we ever did this episode, and I hadn't done deep, extensive research.
So you knew about her,
but I'd heard some really bad things. Well, and I figured that if anyone was going to sniff out her corruption, it'd be you. So let me just ask you, without any spoilers, obviously, but like, is she the evil bitch that I've heard about, or is that kind of being played up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, TJ. She is. And she soon figured out that she was really reliant on them as political supporters. And so the rest of her tenure as San Francisco's attorney general seemed to be aimed at shoring up support among the law enforcement community and the related unions.
Right.
One of the ways she apparently did that was by covering for the police. There was a case that involved a person being caught with a bunch of cocaine, and that cocaine was sent to a lab. One of the lab people testing the cocaine, working under Kamala Harris, not only stole some of the cocaine for their own personal use or to sell or whatever.
Awesome.
But falsified a lot of the evidence to hide the fact.
The malfeasance, basically. Yeah.
Kamala Harris didn't think that that was an important piece of information to share with the defense.
Right. So you have a major scandal going on within the prosecutor's office.
Right.
Wherein someone who is in charge of evidence is stealing evidence and then falsifying conclusions of tests to hide their activities.
Right.
And obviously that's grounds for a mistrial all day long. Clear evidence tampering going on, and Kamala Harris, instead of doing what's legally required of her and
lied and hit the
divulging that to the defense, hides it. And you hear, look, if you know anything about the justice system in America, you know that prosecutors, district attorneys, and stuff hide those sorts of things from the defense all the time in this country.
To me, you know, because the defendant, obviously the defendant has a right to discovery, like, they're not only hiding it, I mean, hiding is a very nice but almost euphemistic term. They're just lying.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So this case was actually overturned on appeal, and the judge had this to say: Harris's office had a duty to implement some type of procedure to secure and produce information relevant to Madden's criminal history. Madden being the person who stole the cocaine from her office.
Right.
By not disclosing information about Madden, Harris's office was complicit in the violation of defendants' constitutional rights.
Sounds like presidential material to me.
After her district was one of the first to adopt nationwide body cams for police officers.
Or district-wide.
Yeah. District-wide, sorry. She came out against nationwide body cams in a strange position that seemed to walk the line of trying to please statewide,
I mean, for someone
cops, you know.
I mean, for someone described as a progressive prosecutor,
self-described. That's something she applied to herself.
Yeah, she did.
And some people have run with it, but it's bullshit. It's a fucking fantasy.
But I mean, how could you possibly make that argument when you're not even in favor of body cams, which the ACLU and many other progressive organizations?
She is in favor of it. Locally in San Francisco.
Yeah, but not nationwide.
But she goes this route with it. She says, I, as a general matter, believe that we should invest in the ability of law enforcement leaders in specific regions and with their departments to use discretion to figure out what technology they're going to adopt based on needs they have and resources that they have. So basically, she's just covering her ass. She's saying, look, I did something politically popular in San Francisco, but that doesn't mean I support it statewide. I support the local community's right to choose whether or not they need these body cams. So she's not really for body cams. She was for them because it was a popular position to be for in
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
She's worse than Hillary. She's literally worse than fucking Hillary. Yeah,
she hasn't even gone to her next level yet.
Here's why. Because at least when Hillary burst onto the fucking scene, like, Hillary's big first initial political issue was like universal health care, you know, when she was first lady. And then, you know, like we saw that thing with Elizabeth Warren where Hillary at one point sat down and said, hey, this bankruptcy bill is unfair to families. I'm just going to kill it. Hillary took at least a little while, like a few decades in politics, to turn into the monster that she is today.
Well, I will tell you this. A lot of Kamala Harris's positions are cloaked in a lot of positions that liberals would love.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mention a lot
social
of
issues.
Standard social liberal issues, but she's gold standard on that stuff. The one area that she shines the worst, I think, in that is her law enforcement background.
Her
And
criminal
that's what,
justice shit.
and that's really what we cover the most here. But let me ask you guys a question. Scotty, you ever play hooky from school?
Oh yeah.
How about you, TJ? You ever play hooky from school?
Not really.
You ever skip school? You never skipped school? You never ditched school?
No, I was a good boy.
Shut up, TJ.
I was.
All right. Well, I know I played hooky from school. Me and Scotty, we going to jail.
What?
Well, not us, our parents.
Parents could face expensive fines and jail time if kids miss school.
In a strange move that I can only
This-
imagine was
I mean, on the
designed-
face of it, this is a bad fucking
Right.
idea.
It seems like it was designed to not only piss off every poor person in the state, but also funnel more people into prisons.
Wow, so a double win for Kamala there.
Yeah, you can read a little bit of this article if you want, TJ.
As of the new year, California parents face prosecution, fines up to $2,000, and even jail time if they don't make sure their kids attend school regularly. The new state law took effect on January 1st and was signed into law last September by former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a strict law which upholds 3 designation for kids who chronically miss school. A truant is any student who is 30 or more minutes late to class or on more than 3 school days. A chronic truant, any student who misses more than 10% of school days without a valid excuse. A habitual truant is a truant who continues to miss class even after school officials attempt to reach out to the student. Parents of kids who are chronically truant can be found guilty of a misdemeanor and face a series of fines and punishments, starting with a $100 fine for the first conviction and ending with a year of incarceration and up to $2,000 for parents of chronic. Yeah, I'm sure the kid's going to be so much better off with their parent in fucking prison. The kid that's already having trouble, put their parents in some legal hot water, and that's just going to fucking fix them right up, huh?
So they mentioned Schwarzenegger first signing it into law, but it was actually Kamala Harris that championed this initiative.
Yes. They talk about her right here.
Sure.
Harris addressed the issue in her inaugural speech yesterday. So this is her talking. We know chronic truancy leads to dropping out, which dramatically increases the odds that a young person will become either a perpetrator. That's like a talking point for her.
Yep.
It is time to get serious about the problem of chronic truancy in California. Last year, we had 600,000 truant students in our elementary schools alone. She's basically trying to conflate these truant students with criminals, which is bullshit.
Right. Which even if they are,
Yeah.
you don't more jail time is her answer for everything.
What?
So yeah, I agree. Kids, if you're going to have a public school system, you should make sure that kids are in school. But the answer isn't throwing their parents in jail.
There's got to be a better fucking
it's
approach than this, for sure.
With her, it seems always be instead of the carrot and the stick. It's always the stick.
always the stick.
It's always the stick. It's like, nope, we're gonna fucking penalize you this way because every time a child misses school, it's because their parents are responsible. Like a lot of parents get deceived. Like Stevie, for example, pretended to go to school and would just go and drive somewhere else. And yeah, I guess you could say, well, they should follow him there and make sure he goes. But at a certain point, I mean, if you're talking about 17 or 18-year-old kids skipping school. What are you going to do? You're going to force them to go? I mean, if they don't want to go, I don't think it's a bunch of fucking 6-year-olds that are missing school like this.
Beyond the silliness of throwing a child who ditches school's parents in fucking jail on the face of it, this was obviously criticized because it's going to be aimed more at poor people.
Yeah.
And that means it's going to be aimed at black and
people.
Latino people.
Yeah, so basically, and look, let's be honest, the whole prison industrial complex disproportionately affects black people. So, I don't know, if I guess I don't have the right to say it, but if I was black, I'd be calling this bitch a race traitor all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck her.
Her evolving position on weed.
Yay.
So it's been pretty consistent as San Francisco's district attorney, medicinal only. As California AG, medicinal only. It harms families. As a congresswoman, hell yeah, weed is great, bro. She loves weed.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a quote from her. Right now, in this country, people are being arrested, being prosecuted and end up spending time in jail or prison, all because of their use of a drug that
I should
otherwise
know I
should be
put many of them
considered legal.
there.
Yeah. A lot of them are there on your watch. Harris,
Too bad you didn't do anything about it when you were actually in a position to. That's kind of crazy.
So she says she supports Cory Booker's bill that he introduced to deschedule marijuana. Mm-hmm. And she said making marijuana legal at the federal level is the smart thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I know this as a former prosecutor, and I know it as a senator. Here's a problem, though.
You didn't seem to know it as a former prosecutor. That's kind of weird.
Yep. As a former prosecutor, you prosecuted a bunch of weed cases and oversaw the prosecution and supported the prosecution of a bunch of weed dealers and weed users. So why the compassion now? Well, the worm has turned, hasn't it, in America?
Yep.
Most people,
62%
regardless
of
of party line,
support recreational
weed.
62% recreational. I'm sure the medicinals
So
even
look
higher.
who
probably
supports
in the
it when
70s.
they're campaigning now.
Yeah,
Kamala
especially
Harris.
since she knows that you're not going to win. I mean, at least you're going to have a much tougher climb, which I know that's the important thing to her is climbing.
Hey there, fellas. Want to buy some weed? I got some weed here.
What's that?
I love weed.
So
I've always loved weed.
she got caught in a funny lie on this issue, actually.
Yeah, this is a full-blown fabrication. So she went on a show called The Breakfast Club, which is a popular hip-hop morning radio show.
That's right.
Charlemagne the God is on there, and she was there. And, of course, they got to bring up the weed. What do you think about the weed?
The weed.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I've smoked weed, and I did inhale. So she admitted she didn't take the Clinton route. She said she smoked weed. She did inhale. She also said she liked grooving out to some music.
Yeah, some
while
music.
listening to weed. When she was in college, listening to weed.
Listen
smoking
to weed.
that weed.
Let's listen to some
So
weed.
she claims that she
Now,
smoked
Paul was
weed.
listening to some weed earlier, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm still listening to it, apparently. She said that while she was in college, she liked to kick back, listen to some Snoop Dogg, listen to some Tupac Shakur.
Snoop Doggy Dog.
The problem is that she graduated from fucking college before either of those dudes ever released an album.
Yeah, she graduated in 1986.
This is a cop.
Man.
She's a plant, dude. Don't you guys see what she's doing?
Snoop Dogg's first album, Doggy Style, dropped in 93. So that's
7
way
years.
Well,
after.
That's just 7 years,
he
dude.
appeared on Dr. Dre's shit before that, but it wasn't before 1990.
And Tupac, 1986 is when she graduated.
Tupacalypse. Now.
Tupac,
91.
91. So maybe neither of them had put out any public music in the 1980s.
Maybe she found some underground shit, dude.
Yeah, maybe she knew Tupac and
She knew him.
Snoop and Dre
and they're
all
like,
them
here you
dudes.
go, here's my freaking demo. You
She'd
know?
fucking taken some of their demo tapes off some of these, thugs she'd arrested
So
and shit.
while she claimed to be smoking weed, she was actually on her way to becoming the attorney general. She was actually a prosecutor, putting away weed dealers. I'm sure she was just chiefing big blunts every goddamn night. She's fake.
Oh, she's bullshit.
She's a plant, guys. Like, this is a cop trying to get into a position, and she sees, like, which way the wind is blowing. But I'm telling you, if that wind shifts while she's in fucking public office, she'll put it right back to the Stone Age. This is a cop.